Right now, we are certainly enjoying our weekend warm-up, but of course, it won't last forever. We'll tell you how soon we expect to see the temperatures drop. Plus, you should have received your tax filing documents by now, what this year's return is expected to be with the new tax law in effect. And super split before the big game. Wisconsinites don't have a team in the race, but that won't stop us from watching. We'll tell you who the majority are rooting for this year.
This is News 3 This Morning, Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to just the start of a very busy Super Bowl Sunday here on Channel 3 today. It is 6:30 in the morning on February 3rd. I'm Josh Ryder alongside meteorologist Chris Reese. Gary is out at the RV show this morning, so he'll join us a little bit later on too. So it is a big day. Our last morning here in the corner of the newsroom. We're excited to show off our big news tonight.
I know, really excited for that. Mother Nature certainly at least complying somewhat. We don't have a snowstorm or anything.
It's kind of like
foggy,
spring-like outside.
Yeah, a lot of fog. When you have warm air moving over that cold pack, folks, it just gets foggy in a hurry. And so the fog rolled in yesterday, and it has stuck around, folks. So we do have those dense fog advisories until noon. Out west, right along the Mississippi River Valley, they've extended that dense fog advisory all the way up until midnight. So yeah, it's certainly going to be foggy out there. Visibility has improved some. We're now up at a mile in Madison, but as you work your way down towards Monroe or Mineral Point, out towards Mount Horeb, Mazomanie, and just the western half of Dane County, the visibility is closer to a quarter mile, if not less than that. So please be careful, folks, as you head out. This is a live look at the Edgewater sky camera right now. The temperature 40 degrees, winds out of the south and southwest at 6 miles per hour, 40 in Watertown as well. Lone Rock at 42, Boscobel at 44. It almost feels May or June like, talking about 40s this early in the morning. But yeah, it's certainly warm out there. Temperatures will stay about where they are for the day with a lot of low cloud cover hanging around. And then as we head into the late afternoon and evening, we could see some showers around as well.
I was kind of surprised how warm it was when I got out of the car this morning at the station. I was like, whoa, this is different.
Yes, it really was. Rolling, I drove with the windows down at one point yesterday, so it does feel good.
Very spring-like.
Yep.
All right, Chris, thank you.
Anytime.
New this morning, Madison police has one man in custody after searching a home near the intersection of Raymond and Frisch Roads. The SWAT team was called in response to a weapons offense, and found 2 people outside the house and 1 still inside, reportedly with a weapon. After establishing a perimeter around the home, they executed a search warrant and arrested 25-year-old Daniel Smith inside. Officers say they're still investigating and that charges are pending. We're learning new information overnight from the Lake Delton Police Department. Officials say the so-called suspicious package found Saturday is nothing to worry about. Officers were called near the U.S. Cellular store on Commerce Street, close to I-90 around 5:30 last night. The Dane County Bomb Squad was also called. After further investigation, they determined it was a canister containing a starch used to stiffen fabrics. Local businesses there temporarily evacuated as a safety precaution. On the Consumer Watch this morning, you should have received your latest W-2 documents by now. And experts say there could be another $20 to $60 billion in refunds this year across the country. But keep in mind, you may have already gotten some of that back in your paycheck since the new tax law was passed. That law nearly doubled the standard deduction for families and increased the federal child's tax credit. CBS News reports even after the government shutdown, the IRS expects to issue refunds within 3 weeks for anyone filing online and 6 weeks for paper filers. You're encouraged to go to the IRS's website with any questions rather than waiting on hold over the phone. Remember, April 15th is the deadline to file. Well, after a week of uncertainty, Foxconn will move ahead with plans this week to eventually employ 13,000 people in Wisconsin. Both Governor Evers and Foxconn said they will continue to work together amid reports the company is changing direction for the site away from manufacturing in favor of making it a research and development hub. The head of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation says there have been no attempts to renegotiate the Foxconn contract.
They're a really diverse technology company, and the kinds of things that they will continue to do as they build out in Wisconsin are going to be a really good match for the technologies that we have here.
The type of facility that they were talking about when they were breaking ground and the president came in and everybody was really happy, not even going to be close to what they said they wanted to do.
Republican lawmakers are blaming Governor Evers for the company reconsidering adding jobs in Wisconsin in the first place, saying the new governor brought a wave of economic uncertainty. But Evers' top aide says his administration will devote time, resources, and personnel to make sure workers and taxpayers are protected. We should soon hear if Wisconsin voters will be able to know whether ballot counting machines were hacked in the 2016 elections. A court case could end with the first public conclusions on whether those machines were hacked or performed poorly. Former Green Party candidate Jill Stein requested a recount in 2016, which included a review of voting machines. Now Stein's group says no one ever conducted a post-election review. State law allows all parties involved to review the machines, and two companies that supply those machines say the findings should not be made public. Those companies have until tomorrow to appeal a judge's ruling allowing public comment. The DOT is reminding all of us to make sure we have what we need to vote this month. Anyone who might not have a driver's license or a military or student ID card can get a free form of identification. The necessary forms are on the DOT's website. You can also call the voter ID hotline at 844-588-1069. We have that number on the bottom of your screen right there. The spring primary, which includes the primary election for Madison mayor, is on February 19th. The state of Wisconsin has a new forecasting system helping farmers plan ahead of spreading manure on the fields. The latest version of the runoff risk advisory forecast debuted this week. The goal is to reduce pollution by letting farmers know how much fertilizer they can use without harming the environment. It will include rain predictions along with soil temperature and saturation data so farmers can make the most informed decisions. Well, new this morning, CBS Sports will make history later today using state-of-the-art equipment at the Super Bowl. Meg Oliver shows us how.
I got it right here.
CBS Sports is ready to take viewers closer to the action on Super Bowl Sunday than ever before. Director Mike Arnold will have an arsenal of technology.
Mike, how many cameras do you have to play with this year?
I think there's about 115.
115 cameras to provide close-ups and alternative viewing angles for fans.
This is the first time 8K cameras have been used at a Super Bowl. The benefit is that you can zoom in on an image up to 800% without losing image quality.
They're fixed on the roof and they look down at each end zone. So we're hoping to get a defining play that'll be really super clear and super crisp and makes sense to the viewer and looks good to the viewer at home.
The duo of Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will call the game.
How do you know what plays the teams are going to call?
You play football your whole life, and then you just, as a broadcaster, I'm not necessarily trying to break, I'm just trying to make you enjoy watching the game. And then my passion comes out sometimes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'd want to know this.
Jim Rickoff is the producer behind the scenes.
What's it like producing such a dynamic duo like Nantz and Romo?
It's been fun. I mean, just like it is on the air, it's the same way behind the scenes.
Tony likes to say you make him look good.
I wish that was the case. I think Tony makes himself look good. He's pretty much a natural.
Do you think he's psychic?
No. Let me think.
No one knows how the game will end, but CBS Sports and millions of viewers at home hope it goes down to the wire. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Atlanta.
And when it comes to the big game, Wisconsin fans are pretty split on who they'll root for. Sports Illustrated and PC Mag teamed up to survey hundreds of fans from Wisconsin. About 32% will root for the Rams and another 32% are rooting for the Patriots. Nationally, 22 states are backing the Rams while only 15 want another win from Tom Brady. We'll have more Super Bowl coverage ahead of the big game later in this show. Valentine's Day is right around the corner and humans aren't the only ones looking for love. A new program at the Dane County Humane Society aims to find loving owners for shelter animals. The Lonely Hearts Club is for homeless dogs, cats, and other critters who have been at DCHS longer than shelter friends and are still looking for someone to love them forever. Although they might be older or not as eye-catching, DCHS is confident they can bring a lot of love to your life.
As a shelter with an adoption guarantee, that means that any animal that comes through our doors that's healthy or treatable can stay at Dane County Humane Society as long as it takes to find that right home for them.
Members of the Lonely Hearts Club can be identified in the shelter by a club logo hanging on their kennel or cage. Just about 6:40 this morning, we are still sitting milder than average going into today with a chance of rain in that forecast. Here's a live look outside as we wake up on this Super Bowl Sunday. Very foggy and kind of wet morning out there with all of that melting. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti will join us live from the Camper and RV Show with your latest forecast next. And super security at the Super Bowl. We'll show you the ground and air operations underway to keep thousands of diehard fans safe. This is News 3 This Morning, Sunday.
I'm meteorologist Gary Canulti live at the Camper and RV Show at the Alliant Energy Center. Very quiet around here right now. It doesn't open until 10 o'clock this morning, but I'll tell you, it's going to fill up very quickly. Today's a great day to get out and about. Got some fog this morning, but at least the temperatures are mild and getting everybody into the spirit of thinking spring and summer. We'll talk a little bit more about the event in just a minute. Otherwise, we have a dense fog advisory in effect for most of southern Wisconsin through the morning hours. The dense fog advisory runs until noon for Dane County and areas to the east. To the west of Dane County, dense fog advisory runs until midnight. That includes the La Crosse area. You can see on our day planner, those temperatures basically staying in the 40s, above freezing, and they'll stay that way pretty much through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. And tomorrow will be in the 40s as well, but then those temperatures will drop. Looks like we're having some problems there with the graphics. But anyway, I can tell you visibilities right now generally have been between about anywhere from 0 to about a mile, mile and a half over much of southern Wisconsin during the morning hours. They're going to stay very close to 0 in some spots, at least through midday, and then start to improve from east to west as the warmer air gradually starts to take hold. Otherwise, as we take a look at the our temperatures right now, they're generally right around 40 degrees here in Madison. We're about 40. Temperatures are in the lower 40s to the south. On Doppler track, you can see no precipitation around. But look at the snow depth. There's still a fair amount of snow on the ground. So as the temperatures are above freezing, you melt some of that snow, and eventually that just forms fog as you add all that moisture to the air, and that's what we're dealing with this morning. As far as the temperatures are concerned, like I say, they're mainly in the 30s in the northern part of the state, around 40 here in southern Wisconsin, but above freezing with the exception of maybe up near Superior. And as we check out the Midwest satellite and radar, you'll see that the temperatures or the clouds are pretty widespread across much of the Midwest. The thicker clouds are to our north and west, and there is some snow moving from Montana into North Dakota. That's going to be with the next weather system that'll stay to the north. You can see temperatures right now very mild through the Midwest, but much colder near the U.S.-Canadian border. That could play into our forecast later on down the line. So as we check out our forecast, again, a dense fog advisory in effect until noon for areas east of Lone Rock. West of there, that advisory runs until midnight. Look for temperatures this morning to climb up into the lower 40s with mostly cloudy skies and dense fog. By this afternoon, our high temperature will top out at around 45 degrees. For tonight, look for a low of 40 with areas of fog and some scattered rain showers. And then for tomorrow, a high of 46 in the morning. But then those temperatures will fall off during the afternoon as winds shift around to the northwest. And the 7 to 10 day forecast calls for a little more seasonable temperatures. Midweek, there could be some snow chances, maybe even mix with a little freezing rain late Wednesday into Wednesday night. Colder for Friday and Saturday, and then toward the end of the week, or toward the weekend, temperatures back closer to normal with another chance of snow. So again, I'm at the Camper and RV Show. We're at the Alliant Energy Center. Today, the hours are from 10 until 4. Admission is $9 for adults. Kids 18 and under are free with an adult admission. But I'll tell you, this is a big show. We have a mile's worth of campers and RVs lined up from end to end. So come on out to the Alliant Energy Center later on today.
And this weather's kind of a little teaser for spring there, Gary.
It certainly is. Get you in the mood anyway.
All right, Gary, thank you. Well, in Atlanta this morning, there is an enormous security operation underway ahead of Super Bowl 53. Thousands of police are deployed, ready for any threat on the ground. As for the air, David Martin got a close-up look.
You're about to enter a restricted area.
If you fly too close to the Super Bowl on Sunday, this is what you will see. An F-16 jet fighter up way too close.
This is an air defense fighter. You've been intercepted.
Followed by orders to leave the area immediately or else.
Turn left or right immediately. If you do not, you may be fired on.
CBS News flew with Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Thornton in the back seat on a training mission before the big game. Our F-16 took off from a National Guard base in South Carolina, accelerating down the runway at full throttle and heading to a nearby training area. On Sunday, F-16s will be flying over Atlanta, patrolling a 30-mile restricted flight zone around the stadium. Any suspicious plane entering that zone will be intercepted. Like this Cessna flown by the Civil Air Patrol. For this exercise, it is playing the role of an intruder. Traveling 2 to 3 times faster, the F-16 pulls up alongside, rocks its wings, and peels off.
What's that supposed to tell them?
It's basically saying, hey, look at me. We'll rock our wings and then slowly turn away. That's a symbol for usually to follow.
If the civilian plane fails to respond, the next maneuver is called a headbutt. The F-16 cuts right in front of the other plane.
So this is kind of in your face.
Correct. So like today we were probably, 1,000 feet away from that aircraft. But, if you're a general aviation pilot flying around and you have an F-16 1,000 feet in front of you, you notice it.
Since 9/11, when these patrols began, there have been hundreds of intercepts over places like the nation's capital and the United Nations, and events like the World Series and political conventions. It always turns out to be an innocent or a stupid mistake. If it looks like an attack, only the Secretary of Defense, or if he can't be reached, the head of the North American Air Defense Command, can order a plane shot down.
You got the order to shoot down a civilian airplane.
We would always execute the rules of engagement that NORAD put forth. So we're prepared to do that.
The best thing that could happen on Sunday is that you enjoy the game as much as I enjoyed this flight.
That was a sweet ride.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
But 2 F-16 pilots will be too busy flying to watch the game. David Martin, CBS News, McEntire Joint Air National Guard Base, South Carolina.
There will also be extra security at the world's largest airport in Atlanta. A record 120,000 people are expected to pass through security there tomorrow. That's double the typical number. Of course, you can catch Super Bowl 43 or 53 rather right here on CBS Tonight. 6:49 right now. Even decades after coming back from combat, veterans can struggle to find their footing and adjust to a new kind of normal. We'll introduce you to the man helping strangers make that transition a little easier. It's a Do Something Good story you won't want to miss on News 3 This Morning, Sunday.
Good morning. We are, of course, waking up to a lot of fog outside right now. Those dense fog advisories do continue until noon for areas in the Madison metro up towards the Dells and towards points east. Once you get west towards the Mississippi River Valley, those dense fog advisories do continue towards midnight. Visibility right now generally about a mile or less depending on where you are. In some spots the visibility is 0, so definitely take it easy out there. The temperature right now 40 degrees. We'll continue to watch those temperatures hover in the upper 30s and low 40s as we go throughout the day. I can't rule out a few spotty showers at times. Temperatures will even warm up into the mid and upper 40s on Monday. But then a cold front comes through. That's going to shake up things in the temperature department. Of course, we'll be breaking down more of that in Maine weather. Josh?
All right, Chris, thank you. To 6:53 this morning. Now to a story about the long-lasting effects of war. Meet a man who's dedicated his life to honoring strangers who sacrificed theirs. Here's Mark Phillips.
In a city park in England, Tony Folds, 82 now, personally tends the memorial for 10 U.S. airmen who died here in 1944.
Everything's going to be fine now.
Tony thinks the crew of the Mi Amigo, average age 22, died because of him.
Because it's me that killed them.
How? Why do you say that?
Because if I hadn't been on the park, they could have landed on the park.
The park is in the city of Sheffield, where an 8-year-old Tony was playing with his friends as the damaged bomber approached.
It was full of holes, shell. Some of the holes were really big, shell holes.
The Mi Amigo had been badly shot up on a bombing raid against the German Luftwaffe. More than 40 B-17s didn't make it back that day. Mi Amigo almost did. It was apparently trying to land on the field where Tony and his friends were standing and watching.
We saw this figure going like that.
Somebody waving to you from the plane?
Well, we thought they were just waving.
Tony's now convinced the wave meant something else.
Actually, they were telling us to get out of the way.
With the kids in the field, the pilot veered away. Mi Amigo never made it over the surrounding trees. The memorial now stands where the plane went down, and Tony comes by almost every day.
This is my life now, literally, you know, here. I just come down here because I'm nothing else now but these lads.
The pilot of Mi Amigo was John Kriegshauser. His nephew, who lives in Chicago, was named after him.
We're all very touched by his devotion and his remembrance of this. But I think he's as much a victim of this as my uncle and the aircrew were.
Tony Fold's private vigil is about to become public, with an Air Force fly past on the 75th anniversary of the crash next month. Tony, as usual, will be there. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Sheffield, England.
It is 6:56 right now, and there's a full hour of real news ahead for us this morning. Then stick around for CBS Sunday Morning and Face the Nation when Margaret Brennan sits down with President Trump. That, of course, all leads up to the Super Bowl coverage right here on CBS. Then don't miss our big reveal tonight at the station from Eric and Charlotte at 10. You will definitely want to keep it tuned to Channel 3 today. We'll be right back. A News 3 exclusive as we enter American Heart Month, a local woman's life-saving message for other women.
This is News 3 This Morning Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning Sunday. It is 7 in the morning on February 3rd. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. I'm Josh Breiter. Gary and Chris will have the latest on the forecast in just a moment, but first here's what's making news this morning. Madison police have one man in custody after searching a home near the intersection of Raymond and Frisch Roads overnight. The SWAT team was called in response to a weapons offense and found 2 people outside the home and 1 still inside, reportedly with a weapon. After establishing a perimeter around the home, they executed a search warrant and arrested 25-year-old Daniel Smith inside. Officers say they're still investigating and that charges are pending. You should have received your latest W-2 documents by now, and experts say there could be another $20 to $60 billion in refunds this year across the country. Do keep in mind, though, you may have already gotten some of that back in your paycheck since the new tax law was passed. That law nearly doubles the standard deduction for families and increased the federal child tax credit. It's also recommended you head to the IRS website with any questions rather than waiting on hold over the phone. Remember, April 15th is the deadline to file. We should soon hear if Wisconsin voters will be able to know whether ballot counting machines were hacked in the 2016 elections. A court case could end with the first public conclusions on whether those machines were hacked or performed poorly. Former Green Party candidate Jill Stein requested a recount in 2016, which included a review of voting machines. State law allows all parties involved to review the machines, and 2 companies that supply those machines say the findings should not be made public. Those companies have until tomorrow to appeal a judge's ruling allowing public comment. The DOT is reminding all of us to make sure we have what we need to vote this month. Anyone who might not have a driver's license or a military or student ID card can get a free form of identification. The necessary forms are on the DOT's website. The spring primary, which includes the primary election for Madison mayor, is on February 19th. It is 7:02 right now, and Chris, certainly feeling a little bit more like April or May out there this morning.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this time of the year. We've also got a lot of fog out there as well as this warm air moves over that snowpack that we have. So we do have dense fog advisories. Those are going to go until noon for the Madison area. They haven't been extended as of now. However, areas to the west, that dense fog advisory has been extended until midnight. So do at least be very mindful of that as you're heading out. Visibilities are getting better, though. We're now up to 1.25 miles here in Madison, but still 1/4 mile visibility from Monroe up through parts of Mineral Point. 0 mile visibility as you work your way down towards the south and west, towards places like Platteville. But here's the Edgewater sky camera, so we do see things getting at least a little better. The temperature 40 degrees right now. Those winds still coming out of the south-southwest at 7 miles per hour. 42 as you work your way up towards the Dells, 41 in Janesville. We're all going to stay warm today, but cloud cover is going to keep those temperatures in check into the low and middle 40s, especially as we move forward with our highs. In fact, here is the cloud cover right now, and no rain coming out of that, though it is very wet and damp with the fog that we have out there. But I do think we'll have a better chance for showers developing, especially into the afternoon and evening. That's when temperatures will work their way into the low and mid 40s as well, Josh.
All right, Chris, thank you. Well, sorry, kids, you are expected to have a full week of school ahead. But now all of the districts that canceled school last week are considering options to make up for missed days. That could mean sending students to school during staff-only days, getting rid of early release days, adding time to the end of days, or tacking on extra days in June. Districts like Middleton Cross Plains scheduled in enough potential snow days for K-12 students so they don't have to make anything up yet. Madison schools have decided to make this coming Friday a school day rather than just a staff-only day. Madison schools are still looking at other options as well. What is the first weekend in February, which is American Heart Month? It's a time to raise awareness of the #1 killer of women. But a warning, heart attacks in women can feel different and are easy to mistake. An Evansville woman is sharing her experience to send a life-saving message to other women with Only News 3's Susan Simon.
I started having symptoms in October, and I really didn't. I justified every symptom I had.
Linda Diedrich is a mother of 3 who travels the country for work as a nurse consultant.
I'm a workaholic. I admit that. I was supposed to be at work that morning, and all that went through my head was, oh my gosh, I can't miss work.
At 51, active and healthy, a heart attack was the last thing on Linda's mind.
I had shortness of breath when I would be walking through airports, so I figured it was the difference of altitude. Then I would be tired and exhausted, and I figured it was the time changes because from East Coast to West Coast, so I figured it was the traveling. I had pain between my shoulders, and I felt maybe that was from my computer bag. So I was able to justify every symptom I had.
But that all stopped on November 19th when Linda was in Chicago for work.
And I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, started Googling heart attacks in women, and sat there for an hour and did that. And
so
then,
something in the back of your mind was telling you.
Yes, absolutely.
You knew something was off.
Absolutely. So I packed my stuff up, I got myself down to my car, and I drove myself to the hospital, which I absolutely do not recommend. By the time I got into the ER, I was able to say my name and that I was having a heart attack, and that was about all I could get out.
Linda's blood work and EKG were normal, but she advocated for an angiogram, a medical imaging technique used to visualize the inside of the heart.
I really, really believe in angiograms, and there's a family history reason why that I do. My LAD, if you're a widowmaker, was 98% blocked, and I had no idea. And I don't think they had any idea at that point either.
Do you think about what would have happened if you had not gone to the hospital?
I do. I believe, and I've been told, that I probably would have been found dead in my hotel room.
80% of cardiac events in women can be prevented, yet heart disease remains the #1 killer, taking more lives than all forms of cancer combined.
So a woman who has a heart attack is more likely to die than a man who has a heart attack. And within a year after a heart attack, a woman's risk of having another heart attack or dying is much higher than a man's risk of dying. So it's a more lethal event in a woman.
Dr. Thomas Walhouse is Linda's cardiologist at Unity Point Health Meriter.
Women oftentimes have more atypical symptoms than men. And women, sometimes they're just short of breath, or sometimes they're nauseated, or sometimes they have back pain.
Dr. Walhouse says it's important for women of all ages to know their numbers.
Your cholesterol numbers, your blood pressure numbers, your BMI, and take your health seriously. So there's a lot you can do that's not medications. There's exercise, adequate sleep, healthy relationships, mindfulness and meditation. These are all things that can be done outside of the clinic that are important.
Family history is another major risk factor that Linda learned with the tragic passing of her cousin's husband, Keith.
He was out running, he's 57 years old, and had a massive heart attack and passed away. He had had a stress test just months before he died. It was normal. His death actually saved my life because my cousin and I talked, and I was able to push for an angiogram, knowing that I needed to.
You wouldn't have known that without Keith's experience.
I wouldn't have known it. So Keith did not die in vain. He saved my life.
Susan Simon with that story there. Madison's annual Go Red for Women luncheon is this coming Friday, February 8th at the Monona Terrace. Just go to heart.org/Madison Goes Red for more information. It is 7:08 this morning. We have been on a roller coaster weather-wise this past week, and the ride continues. Gary is live from the Camper and RV Show all morning, tracking the return of those colder temps. Plus, we have some big Beatles news. Previously unreleased footage from one of the most popular bands of all time is about to be released. We'll get a first look on News 3 This Morning Sunday.
I'm meteorologist Gary Canulti, live at the Madison Camper and RV Show at the Alliant Energy Center. Very quiet here right now, but it'll be bustling around 10 o'clock as the hours are from 10 to 4. A little bit more on the Camper and RV Show a little bit later on after weather. But first, you have to deal with the fog this morning. Coming here down the Beltline, the visibility is very low. There is a dense fog advisory in effect until midnight for areas west of Lone Rock, east of Lone Rock, including Madison. That dense fog advisory runs until noon today. Visibilities right now generally running a mile or less. In Madison, about 1.25 miles, but you can see Juneau and Platteville reporting 0 visibility in fog. So if you're out and about this morning, allow yourself some extra travel time. At least there's not much falling from the clouds and the fog. There might be a little drizzle out there, but temperatures are above freezing, which is good news. Wider view shows that there's really not much going on around the Midwest other than a few flurries up in northern Minnesota. But temperatures right now are warm enough to start melting some of the snow. Still a fair amount on the ground, especially in southern and eastern Wisconsin, but temperatures are above freezing. In fact, they're right around 40 degrees through much of southern Wisconsin, 30s up in the northern portion of the state. Only in the far northern sections up near Lake Superior are the temperatures below freezing. So as we look at weather tracking, see thicker clouds to our north and west. The next weather system bringing some snow into parts of Montana and North Dakota. That could be a big winter storm up there, but that will bypass us to the north. Later on, those temperatures turn colder. We'll see some chances for snow in our part of the Midwest. Notice the temperatures 40s from here southward, but to the north, those temperatures below 0 up near the U.S.-Canadian border. So much colder weather. We'll see a change toward colder weather at the end of the week. Our forecast includes that dense fog advisory until noon for Madison and areas to the east, to the west. Those dense fog advisories run until midnight tonight. Look for temperatures this morning to stay in the upper 30s to the lower 40s with dense fog. This afternoon, our high temperature topping out at a mild 45 degrees with fog continuing. For tonight, breezy and unseasonably mild, areas of fog and some scattered showers, low around 40. Tomorrow's high of 46 will be in the morning, and then those temperatures will fall off in the afternoon, and it'll turn colder for the middle part of the week. In fact, the extended forecast calls for those temperatures to generally be around freezing or just a little bit below as we head into the middle part of next week. And then you can see temperatures in the teens for Friday and Saturday, back to around normal by the early part of next week, and then you can see some chances for snow there. Now, we're at the Alliant Energy Center for the Madison Camper and RV Show. The hours today from 10 until 4. Admission to the event is $9. Kids under 18 are free with an adult admission, so it'll run till 4 o'clock today. Later on, Gilbert Brown will be here greeting customers at the front entrance to help out his charity. So you'll have a chance to meet Packer great Gilbert Brown up near the front entrance of the Alliant Energy Center. So think warm thoughts. You want to get back in the spring and summer mood, this is the place to be. The Alliant Energy Center, 10 to 4 today, Madison Camper and RV Show.
Gary, if you're still looking for an early birthday present for me, I like that one behind you right there.
$49,000, and it's all yours, Josh. It's all set
That's
up.
pocket change, Gary.
I'll write a check out and have them deliver it to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gary. We have been asking you to share your morning with us. Joel posted this on Facebook out of Fort Atkinson. Some beautiful cloud formations right there. Thank you so much for sharing, Joel. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it to our social media using the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Well, there is some big Beatles news this morning. Director Peter Jackson is working on a film using unreleased footage of the Let It Be sessions, including the rooftop concert from 50 years ago this week. Jim Axelrod gets back.
It would be the last time the band that changed everything played a concert in public. If you call the 42-minute session a concert and the roof of their Apple Records headquarters public. By then, it had been more than 2 years since the Beatles' last live show in San Francisco, where they were escorted out in an armored bus.
Where's the best way out the way?
And their feelings toward each other had grown as raw as the January weather in London when they hit the roof.
There was a lot of dissension going up there. In fact, I was told that they almost didn't even go through the door on the roof.
Ken Mansfield oversaw the U.S. for Apple Records. That's him in the white coat.
But when they started playing, it was the old Beatles. Paul looked over at John, and John looked over at Paul. These were people that were bonded together by that moment.
You got the wrong location.
Ringo and John wore their wives' jackets to stay warm. The crew pulled stockings over the mics as wind buffers.
Move over once, move move over twice.
5 stories down, people on the streets couldn't see who was playing, but they could hear a group that sounded as tight as ever as they created a traffic nightmare that sent the London police to the roof to pull the plug.
Nobody ever loved me like she did.
15 months later, McCartney would quit the band. No longer the lads from Liverpool. The Beatles were now grown-up men with grown-up issues. Funny how much had changed in 7 years and how quickly the next 50 have passed. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, New York.
It is 7:17 right now, and still ahead, there's growing concern nicotine might be more dangerous than previously thought. Plus, a new study shows how milk is paying off for us dairy-loving Wisconsinites. And a serious surgery success is drawing nationwide attention right now. We'll explain coming up in Health Watch. You're watching News 3 This Morning, Sunday. Welcome back. On the Health Watch this morning, a growing measles outbreak in the Pacific Northwest is spreading fear among many parents. 35 confirmed cases in Washington state prompted the governor to declare a state of emergency. Studies show almost 30% of children younger than 5 who get the measles will have to be hospitalized. 18 states, including Washington, allow parents to decide not to vaccinate their children due to moral, personal, or other beliefs. New York State is facing its worst outbreak in decades with more than 200 cases. Blima Marcus is a nurse practitioner in New York working to combat misinformation, claiming vaccines cause cancer, diabetes, and autism, all disproven by the CDC.
I think that percentage is higher in the Orthodox communities due to all of the propaganda and fear tactics. There are so many pieces of misinformation, some outright lies, that when put all together reveal a very terrifying picture of vaccination.
There were nearly 350 measles cases recorded last year in 26 states and the District of Columbia, the second greatest number since the disease was eliminated in the year 2000. Well, being cooped up inside during the winter can often mean more movies and video games to keep kids entertained. But there's another reason this morning why you might want to start monitoring your kids' screen time. A new study out of Canada says more time in front of the TV can delay the time it takes for children to reach big developmental milestones like communication, problem solving, and social skills. The study found on average kids are watching more than 2 hours of TV a day. Well, separating conjoined twins at the head is an especially complex operation. Doctors in Philadelphia are revealing more details this week on the techniques that helped separate two young sisters from North Carolina. Meg Oliver has this story.
What's this?
Aaron and Abby Delaney's parents are grateful their twin daughters are thriving.
They are just growing and changing, and they're just amazing little people. And I can say that they're really my heroes for what they've been through.
The sisters were born joined at the head and even more rare, totally fused, with their connection deep into the brain tissue. In June 2017, the conjoined twins were fully separated at 10 months old at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
Around 3 months of age, we separated the bone that was connecting the two twins, and then we sort of slowly pushed them apart and changed the anatomy where the two were connected. And then that allowed us to do the separation.
A new report in the New England Journal of Medicine details how doctors used innovative technology and teamwork to perform the complex separation surgery. A computer navigation system helped them map the connected blood vessels that needed to be divided between the twins.
The most difficult part for these girls were they shared some really important big blood vessels, and sort of having to be able to separate those and have the brain kind of recover after we did the separation was really the hardest part.
Some of the stuff they were doing had never been done before, so we didn't know how it was going to work out. But luckily, everything turned out incredible. We have miracle little girls to show for it.
Happy birthday! Now 2 years old, Aaron and Abby are receiving many therapies, including physical, occupational, and speech. In the next few years, the sisters will need additional surgery to close the openings in their skulls. Meg Oliver, CBS News.
The girls are among the youngest twins joined at the head to be successfully separated. One of the top trending campaigns on the crowdfunding website Kickstarter is a Wisconsin company that's highlighting what exactly nicotine can do to your body. You're taking a look at You Don't Know Nicotine. The film project takes a look at the impact nicotine can have on developing brains and whether it's any safer without smoking. The goal is to cut down on misinformation surrounding the drug now that it's easily found in vaping materials. Well, all that milk must be making a difference in Wisconsin. The website Wallet Hub is naming our state the best in the country for dental health. February happens to be National Children's Dental Health Month, and nationally about 15% of kids haven't seen a dentist in the past year. That is not the case in Wisconsin, though, thanks to low dentist costs and a small percentage of adults with poor teeth. And despite our affinity for chocolate milk and spotted cow, we are ranked 14th in consumption of sugary beverages. It is 7:25 right now. Still ahead for us this morning, we'll have the latest on major layoffs happening this week at one of the country's largest companies. And the fun continues all day on Lake Mendota. We'll take you to this weekend's Frozen Assets Festival right here on News 3 This Morning Sunday.
This is News 3 This Morning Sunday.
Good morning, and thanks for staying tuned to Channel 3 on this Super Bowl Sunday. A very exciting day for us here at the station. It is 7:30 in the morning on February 3rd. I'm Josh Breiter. Chris and Gary will have the latest on the warmer weather we've been experiencing and when the colder weather will return in their forecast. But first, let's get right to today's headlines. And we have new information this morning from the Lake Delton Police Department. From overnight, officials say the so-called suspicious package found Saturday is nothing to be worried about. Officers were called near the U.S. Cellular store on Commerce Street close to I-90 around 5:30 last night. The Dane County Bomb Squad was called too, but after further investigation, they determined it was a canister containing a starch used to stiffen fabrics. Local businesses were temporarily evacuated as a safety precaution. When it comes to the Super Bowl, Wisconsin fans are pretty split on who they'll be rooting for this year. Sports Illustrated and PC Mag teamed up to survey hundreds of fans from Wisconsin. About 32% will root for the Rams and another 32% are rooting for the Patriots. Nationally, 22 states are backing the Rams while only 15 want another win for Tom Brady. We'll have more Super Bowl coverage ahead of the big game later in this half hour. About 4,000 General Motors workers are about to lose their jobs as layoffs start tomorrow. They're part of a 15% reduction in white-collar jobs in North America. The car company first announced the layoffs back in November, along with plans to close 4 U.S. plants and 1 in Canada. It's all part of ongoing cost reductions to free up $6 billion a year to invest in new car technology like electric and self-driving vehicles. Apple says FaceTime will be safe to use again this week. In the week ahead, the company issued a statement this weekend saying a software update that patches a security flaw in the app will be rolled out this week. The bug allowed callers using FaceTime to access recipients' microphones and cameras without them picking up the call. Just after 7:30 now on the Super Bowl Sunday, and kind of a wet start to our day out there, Chris.
Yeah, it is, Josh, and that's because all the fog that we have around. So here's a live look outside right now, and it looks very spring-like, but it also looks very dreary out as well. We do have a dense fog advisory. It's going to stay in effect until noon. We'll see if that gets extended at all. Back to the west, that winter, or not winter weather advisory, but dense fog advisory did get extended up until midnight. So expect things to be foggy as the warm air moves over that snow pack. We've watched visibility get a little bit better this morning, now up to 1.25 miles visibility here in town. You work your way back towards the south and west. Monroe and Mineral Point both at 0 visibility right now. There are some spots where it is certainly low, but the temperature is still on the warmer side. 40 degrees right now. Winds out of the south and southwest at 7 miles per hour. Of course, that air is completely saturated too. But as we go throughout the day, expect temperatures to warm up by a couple more degrees. We'll see them into the low and mid 40s for those highs. I can't rule out the possibility of at least a few showers getting into the mix, especially this afternoon. We're going to keep that theme around during the overnight hours. Then on Monday, spiking up initially, but then we'll watch those temperatures begin to decrease as we head towards the afternoon and evening as that next round of cold air moves into our forecast. We have chances for snow in that forecast as well, Josh.
All right, Chris, thank you. Well, this weekend's sudden warm-up means the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is watching for ice jams and flooding in Wisconsin. The Milwaukee Journal Sentinel says they're watching parts of the Fox River, the Wolf River, and the Menominee River. Ice jams are caused by warmer temperatures thawing ice on the river quickly. They often trigger flooding. Residents across the state, including in Madison, are asked to clear storm grates to help with melting snow. The Rock River is also at risk of flooding. After the bitter cold temperatures that kept families indoors this week, many are out and about this weekend enjoying the warm-up. The Frozen Assets Festival at the Edgewater on Lake Mendota gave many the chance to try their hand at some winter activities like skating, hockey, and snow kiting while enjoying warm treats and learning about Madison's lakes.
A great activity to come out on the ice. You get to see the kites, and we're actually going to go over there and see the Statue of Liberty as well.
It's like a lot of fun. The fundraiser is organized by the Clean Lakes Alliance, and money raised goes towards protecting the waters, educational programming, and water quality monitoring. Events continue out there today. Well, Super Bowl Sunday may be the biggest sporting event on the calendar, but it's also the second biggest day for eating, of course. Lisa from Topper's Pizza is back with us this morning, sharing some popular flavor combinations ahead of one of the biggest delivery days of the year. Boy, that looks good. Keep watching News 3 This Morning Sunday.
All right, we do have visibility that is right around 1.25 miles here in town. Still some fog around, and we're going to expect that fog around really throughout all of the day. Temperatures right around 40 degrees, but as we continue throughout the day, temperatures will be held steady with the fog and the cloud cover that we have around. Of course, we are watching the possibility of some showers getting into the mix later on this afternoon and evening as well. It's not going to be widespread heavy rain, but nonetheless, some of us may see a few of those showers. We're milder on Monday as well before colder air comes back into the picture, guys.
All right, Chris, thank you. No matter who wins the big game, today is a big win for the food and beverage industry. That's because the only day Americans eat more is on Thanksgiving. Nationwide, Domino's says it will make 2 million pizzas and 4 million chicken wings. That's about 40% more than a normal Sunday. Americans buy enough tortilla chips for a game day to stretch across the U.S. 2.5 times. Holy cow. Last year, football fans shelled out $38 million for dips, including guacamole. That adds up to about 270 million avocados. Wow, that's enough to fill a football field. End zone to end zone, piled 50 feet high. How about that? And then many wash it down with a cold one, spending about $1.3 billion on beer. And we mentioned pizza. Well, it's one of the most popular days of the year to order out, and Toppers is ready to deliver. Lisa is back with us this morning with more on this. Good morning. Happy Super Bowl Sunday.
Thanks. Yeah, today's all about eating, right? So you mentioned Thanksgiving's a big time where we eat Super Bowl, right? We want to be able to offer our customers a variety of food because everybody wants to snack through that game, right? So we've got our new value menu. I want to just introduce you guys to that today, where you can get pretty much mix and match almost anything on our entire menu for just $5.99 a piece. So sticks suiting your fancy today with your guests.
That smells good.
We've got our nacho sticks here. Oh yeah, I mean better than breakfast, right? Then we've got our brand new quesadillas. We've got our Chipotle chicken quesadilla here today, made fresh this morning, like holy smokes. You can get a medium up to 2-topping pizza, right? We all remember about the variety that Toppers Pizzas offers. We've got a bunch of different toppings, all sorts of stuff to offer with that. We've got our brand new mac and cheeses. We've got our buffalo chicken mac and cheese because you got to have some wings, right? We've got our monkey bread. We've got our cinnamon swirl monkey bread.
That's my favorite.
This will be your breakfast this morning, right?
Yes, it will.
And then lastly, how could you have Super Bowl without some wings? You can get a half a pound of boneless wings for just $5.99.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we like to be able to make sure that our customers are getting some really great value, that they're able to offer a variety of items for their guests. You can go online, toppers.com, place a timed order for any time throughout the game. We'll show up around that time and make sure that we've got hot, fresh food for customers.
And one of the other things is you got to have the right sauce, right?
Oh my gosh, right? So I've got our brand new sauce here. We've got a mild sauce here because, you know, Super Bowl is all about wings, right? We do offer a variety of different sauces. We've got our mild sauce. We bake all of our wings fresh in the oven. They come out of the oven, we shake them with a nice generous amount of sauce, plop them in a fresh container for our customers,
and then
you gotta have that dip, right?
You gotta have it.
Yeah.
Something to put it in, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we just want to make sure that our customers are knowing that we're available, knowing that we are ramped up, super staffed today, and we want to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of everything.
And I think you were talking about that value. Even like if you are hosting, it's good to have a little bit of everything because we're all kind of picky about what we want, right?
Yeah, right. Put a smorgasbord out, let our customers be able to pick. You've got probably a kid at home that probably doesn't want a pepperoni sausage pizza. Get them a cheese pizza as well, and everybody can get exactly what they're looking for. We also have a really cool contest that's going on right now where with any of our $9.99 each items where you can get a large pizza up to 3 toppings or those really cool specialty pizzas along with topper sticks, one of those big triple orders in the large size box. Every time somebody's ordering one of those throughout this entire week, they're actually being entered to win free pizza for a year.
Ooh.
Could you imagine that? All the pizza you could possibly eat for an entire year. It's pretty sweet. That's all to kick off our National Pizza Day that actually happens on the 9th. So we're really excited about National Pizza Day too.
All right, well, we know this is one of the biggest days of the year, so we're going to let you get back to it and prepare for all those orders. Thank you, Lisa, for coming in.
All right, have a great day.
And if you want Super Bowl 53 game coverage, of course, CBS is your place to turn. Super Bowl pregame coverage begins at 10:30 this morning, taking you all the way up to kickoff at 5:30 right here on Channel 3. Then be sure to catch our news at 10 tonight with Eric and Charlotte to see where News 3 is headed now. We are super excited to share what we've been up to the last couple of months. Let's take another look outside this morning. A very dreary and foggy start out there. Gary is back next from the RV and Camper Show, looking ahead at your work week forecast. But first, let's look who's 3 today. Thanks for celebrating with us on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Gary Canolti live at the Madison Camper and RV Show at the Alliant Energy Center. It'll start today at 10 a.m. and we'll have a special guest I'll tell you a little bit more about in just a second. First, we have to get past the fog this morning. It is pretty thick out there. Coming in on the belt line, visibility was down to about maybe a quarter of a mile as I was coming in. And right now, we've got a dense fog advisory that runs until noon for areas east of Lone Rock, including Madison. It does not include the areas around Milwaukee. Farther to the west, that advisory runs until midnight tonight. The fog is expecting to hang on a little bit longer there. And you can see visibility is now down to around 0 in Mineral Point, Monroe, and in Platteville, 1.25 miles at the Dane County Regional Airport. But at least we're not getting much in the way of precipitation. Maybe a little drizzle, but temperatures are above freezing, so we should not see icy roads or anything like that. A little wider radar perspective shows a few flurries up in northern Minnesota, and that's about it. But our next chances for more significant precipitation will be later this afternoon and tonight. Plenty of snow on the ground, and as we melt that snow, that's what's giving the moisture that's leading to the fog that we have out there this morning. But you can see statewide temperatures are above freezing with the exception of areas up near Lake Superior. Right now, Madison's at 40, Green Bay at 40, La Crosse at 40, Milwaukee 41. Only in the far northern parts of the state are temperatures right around the freezing mark. Weather track shows plenty of clouds, especially thicker clouds to our north and west, but you can see some light snow up toward Montana and North Dakota. That'll turn into a fairly significant winter storm because temperatures are much colder there. Notice 2 degrees in Bismarck, North Dakota, 5 below in Glasgow, Montana. So there is a lot of Arctic air to our north and west, but here around southern Wisconsin, temperatures are in the 40s from here southward. And on future track, you can see lots of thick clouds to our south. That will continue for the next couple of days, but it'll also keep our temperatures up for a while. So our forecast includes that dense fog advisory through noon for most of us and until midnight for our far western viewers. Look for a high today of about temperatures this morning will gradually climb into the lower 40s from the upper 30s to around 40 where we are now. And then this afternoon, look for a high temperature of about 45 degrees. Might be a couple of showers, especially later this afternoon into tonight. Tonight's low temperature dropping only to 40, so we'll continue to melt some of that snow. And then for tomorrow, a high of 46 early in the day. Then those temperatures start to fall as that Arctic cold front moves in and temperatures drop off. Now, as we take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, we'll see a little more seasonable temperatures. There will be some chances for light snow midweek, maybe mixed with a little freezing rain Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and then colder weather as we head toward next weekend. You can see those temperatures in the upper teens, nighttime low temperatures near zero, and then temperatures back closer to normal as we head into the early part of the following week with some snow chances. Now, we're here at the Alliant Energy Center. We have the Madison Camper and RV show. That runs until 4 o'clock this afternoon, starts at 10 a.m., and admission is $9 for adults. Kids are free with an adult admission, and I actually have a special guest with us, somebody who needs no introduction, especially if you're a Packers fan. We have Gilbert Brown, great Packer great here. He is actually going to be playing games with some of the people coming in at the front entrance between 10 and 11:30. The Gilbert Brown Gravedigger Prize is Right. I get that correct?
You got it right.
And that's from a Bears fan, so.
Yeah.
But and the proceeds from this go to help your foundation, correct?
Absolutely. My foundation does over 156 different children's charities. The great thing about my foundation is we have no administrative costs. All the money goes to where it's supposed to go to. I got great volunteers. I got great teammates that help me. And plus, as a puny Bear fan yourself, very puny man. Can you see him?
Yeah, see, there we go. Okay, now it's all going to come out. Okay, go ahead. No, I
like you because you like to do the weather, man.
Well, thank you. And I gave him a forecast, too, so when he heads back home, at least they'll know how to get through. But if you want a chance to see Gilbert, he'll be here between 10 and 11:30 this morning. Mm-hmm. The event opens at 10 o'clock, the Alliant Energy Center.
A lot of great prizes, Packer tickets, $10,000 worth of gifts and stuff.
No Bears tickets?
Heck no. You can get them in the gumball machine.
There we go. Okay. So, yeah, come on out and have a chance to win some prizes and have a chance to meet Gilbert as well. 10 a.m., the Alliant Energy Center. $9 for adults, and kids 18 and under free with an adult admission. Thanks, Gilbert. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gary, you better watch out. He looks like he could take you out in a second.
He can. It's not going to take much to get this puny Bear fan out of here, but maybe you can get a shot of me running down the hall here.
All right, Gary and Gilbert, thank you so much. Well, spring training is now less than 2 weeks away, and when the Brewers get there, one of the big stories to watch will be the comeback of pitcher Jimmy Nelson. The last we saw of Nelson was September of 2017. He hit a ball off of the wall at Wrigley Field, tried to scramble back to first, and jammed his right shoulder into the base. After surgery, he didn't pitch at all last season, but now he hopes to make a triumphant return in 2019.
I'm going into the spring training with the same routines and the same mindset of earning my spot back and helping this team to the best of my ability. And I think, everything I've been doing over the last 16 months, will finally pay off. And, so I'm just looking forward to finally putting it behind me. One of my goals is to start opening day. That goal is still never as important as the, winning the World Series goal.
And after 17 seasons in the NFL, former Packer defensive end Julius Peppers has announced he is retiring. The 39-year-old played 3 seasons with the green and gold. During his time in Green Bay, Julius Peppers recorded 104 tackles, 25 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns. The future Hall of Famer will finish 4th all-time on the NFL sack list behind Bruce Smith, Reggie White, and Kevin Green. It is now 7:51. Keep it tuned to Channel 3 today. You can watch coverage of tonight's Super Bowl right here on CBS, and then stay tuned afterwards to see the major changes we're making both on air and online. But first, let's give 3 cheers for these 2 pioneers. The history-making men on the sidelines of this year's Super Bowl will tell you why they're getting as much attention as some of the players on the field when News 3 This Morning Sunday continues. Well, the big game is tonight in Atlanta, and while millions of eyes will be glued to the action on the field, this morning we're shining a spotlight on two history-making men off the field.
That's right, Josh. Mark Strassman reports.
Super Bowl week is always the NFL's big rah-rah moment. This year, the league's rooting for something new.
Oh, guys, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Quentin Perrone and Napoleon Jennings made history when they became cheerleaders for the Los Angeles Rams, the first men ever.
What made you think it's time for the guys to step up?
The whole world, especially the world of entertainment's in a place of being open, and if you can do the job, why not?
NFL cheerleaders were once seen as sideline sex symbols and sometimes jeered as Barbies with pom-poms. Rams cheerleaders were once known as the embraceable U's. But in today's NFL, cheerleaders are often professional dancers. 300 people competed to cheer for the Rams last year. 2 of them were men.
If I was like, we're going to be here, we need to make a statement, not just stand off in the shadows and get intimidated.
Jen Padilla and Emily Liebert were floored.
There was a bit of shock at first, but then you realize that it's nothing new. And if the talent is there, which it was, then they deserve to be on this team.
Just to see them dance, go across the floor, I was like, wow, these guys are extremely talented.
Most fans have cheered them on. Some have pushed back.
What do you do in those moments?
We have a job to do, so you can't let anything affect you and it'll affect your work.
Every time somebody says Super Bowl, all of your faces light up.
I know, I'm like, this smile hasn't left since we landed.
With every sideline jump this historic Sunday, the NFL takes a leap forward. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
And you can catch the Super Bowl tonight right here on Channel 3. And don't forget to stay tuned after the big game for some big news from us here at the station. We're rooting for something new as well. We're like two kids at a candy store
I
this
know.
morning.
It's been really hard to stay quiet about it.
It has
but
been. We are excited.
doing so. Of course, it's going to be a lot of fun. Also going to be fun in the weather department, just because, I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster ride, right?
Whee!
So I hope you like it. Yeah. We have reached the top of the hill, folks, and we are getting ready to let the gears release the car to go downhill
womp, womp.
as temperatures come right back down, all the way down to the teens by the weekend. And folks, yeah, we are talking possibilities of snow and freezing rain in that forecast too. A little bit of everything. In fact, as we go through the next 7 to 10 days, I'll show you those days that have the best chance for some snow flakes to fly. And that's going to be Tuesday through Thursday. Again, some freezing rain may mix in, but we're also watching Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday next week. And none of these look like huge storms or anything, but nonetheless, we're getting rid of some snow and adding right back to it.
All right, Eric and Charlotte are back with what News 3 is doing now. That's tonight after the Super Bowl.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.